Welcome to See the World. Today's episode features the beautiful country of Malaysia. A country of diversity, a country with a rich, long history, a country with an obsession with tea, and a country with an absolutely gorgeous natural landscape. Join us as we embark on a journey into the legacy of its history, from the cities, to the mountains, to the endless fields of tea. Join us to see the world. Big reward for us. Join us to see the world. Malaysia, a country with a population of 32.4 million people whose origins can be traced far and wide. The origins of this diversity can be credited to its strategic location as the gateway to Southeast Asia. With its position being ideal to establish trading ports and its arable land providing ideal conditions to grow highly in-demand crops, the region in which this country resides has, for thousands of years, been a center of conflict between many powers. From early Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms such as the Sriwijaya, to the rise of Muslim states such as the Johor, Perak, and Pahang Sultanates. All of them have left their footprints in this region, having vied for control over its resources. But everything changed between the 16th to early 19th century when another foreign power progressively entered the fray of what was then known as Malaya. The British first arrived in Malaya in 1588, then under the control of the Portuguese. But the empire would not become involved in the politics of this region until 1771, when they tried to set up trading posts on Penang. Over time, however, their influence would grow. In 1826, after hundreds of years of conflict between empires, Malaya finally fell under the control of the British Empire. With Malaya under British hegemony, the empire can now exploit the natural resources found so abundantly in this region. For more than 100 years, Malaya became a major source of profit for the empire, becoming the world's largest producer of tin and rubber. But everything changed at the outbreak of World War II. On the 8th of December 1941, the Imperial Japanese Army invaded British Malaya. Their campaign would last for 2 months and 8 days, resulting in the surrender of the Commonwealth forces and the occupation of Malaya by the Japanese. The campaign had took the lives of more than 9,000 people and the capture of 130,000 Commonwealth troops. The occupation created living conditions which were mixed at best for the population. The ethnic Chinese of Malaya in particular were victims of atrocities committed by the Japanese, with as much as 97,000 having been imprisoned or killed during this occupation. This occupation would last until the surrender of Japan at the end of World War II. After this surrender, the British reconsolidated control over Malaya. But by then, a strong desire for independence had already grown within the population, and thus another war broke out, in which the population strived for independence. This independence was achieved in 1957, when, on the midnight of the 31st of August, the Malaysian flag was hoisted for the first time on the grounds of Independence Square. Join us to see the world. Join us to see the world. Since its independence from the British Empire, Malaysia has become a modern nation, having transitioned smoothly into the 21st century. And yet, it remains to value the legacies left behind from its place as a melting pot of cultures, as well as its colonial era. This is particularly visible in the city of Kuala Lumpur, the nation's economic center. Places such as the Batu Caves, one of the most popular Hindu shrines outside of India, and this is Chinatown, KL. Located in and around Petaling Street, it is similar to many Chinatowns across the world, complete with Chinese-influenced architecture and markets selling street food, clothing, and souvenirs. And if you're lucky, you can find a time capsule of an era long gone. Hidden in the streets of Chinatown is Kwai Chai Hong, a part of older Chinatown that stood against the test of time and modernization. And it speaks to the volumes of the diversity of Malaysia, a country whose population is 22% Chinese Malaysians. This small alley is home to residents such as old men playing strings, children having fun, and women providing napkins, all frozen in time. These murals portray an image of Chinatown in its golden age of the 60s. Thankfully, some of the establishments from this golden age have survived to this very day. This tea house was one of them, and the smell from within was far too irresistible. With tea originating in China some 4,000 years ago, it's almost no wonder that Chinatown is full of different tea houses. And that makes me wonder, what is the history of tea in Malaysia? Oh, delicious. Welcome to the Cameron Highlands. With an area of 712 square kilometers and sitting at an elevation between 800 to 1,700 meters above sea level, it is a far cry from the warm climate of Kuala Lumpur. Much like Kuala Lumpur, the Cameron Highlands is filled with relics from the colorful history of Malaysia. Unlike the city, however, most of these relics either came from the era of British colonialism or remains as a memento that harks back to it. Take this, for example. The Lake House, Cameron Highland. Despite its Tudor-style architecture, the lake house was only built in 1966 by retired British Army officer Colonel Stanley Jack Foster, who long dreamed of owning and operating his own bed and breakfast. This bed and breakfast is one of many that operate in the Cameron Highlands, most, if not all of which, follow the same theme of British colonialist architecture. And there is a very specific reason for that. Due to the altitude at which the Cameron Highlands sits, this area is much colder than that of the rest of Malaysia. In fact, the ambient temperature of the Cameron Highlands could reach as low as 14 degrees Celsius in the night. In addition, the soil has high amounts of acids.
And it is this cool climate and acidic soil that create the perfect breeding ground for such a lush green ecosystem.
It is for this reason that the Cameron Highlands is the home of Malaysian tea. And it was here in 1929 where the Malaysian tea industry was established by a British man named John Archibald Russell. He established the Boa Tea Company, which now operates on 1,200 hectares of land and produces 4 million kilograms of tea every year. And this is where it all started. The Boa Heritage Tea Center and Factory in the Cameron Highlands is the location of the first ever plantation and tea factory in Malaysia. The center consists of a factory producing 1.25 million kilograms of tea per year, equal to 1.7 million cups of tea per day. It also consists of a terrace overlooking the plantation and a pair of interesting looking buildings.
This one mango tea, very nice. Very sweet.
These half-cylindrical shaped buildings are called Nissen huts. They were designed by Canadian-British engineer and inventor Major Peter Norman Nissen as economical and portable accommodation for soldiers in the front lines. These particular Nissen huts were built in 1949 during the Malayan emergency by British forces, but are now used to house the shops that host tea parties.
Vanilla? Also sweet, but slightly milder. I think I like the vanilla one more. I'll just get that one. For my partner and for my parents. Thank you. In the end, I got vanilla as well as their signature gold blend. Very interesting. I can't wait to see how this tastes. Apparently, it's supposed to have a smooth flavor and a rich golden color.
Loose tea, however, were not the only items I acquired.
Ooh. Oh, that's good. It actually tastes like tetarik. I mean, of course it does. But, it's crazy how similar it tastes.
The cold tea flavored ice cream in a cold tea covered Cameron Highlands. Join us to see the world. Join us to see the world. The cold, tea-covered Cameron Highlands is a cold yet organic place. Its rolling hills are mostly green, with 71% of the area covered in forest. Look hard enough, however, and you will find yourself in a sanctuary. This is the Strawberry Park Resort. It lies on a 2.8-hectare hill overlooking the forests of the Cameron Highlands. Like many establishments in the region, the Strawberry Park Resort is a legacy of the historical ties between the Cameron Highlands and its British colonial history, with the buildings designed in a colonial architectural language. Our stay in this resort was facilitated by our partners from Ticket.com. Cheers, guys. This resort harks back to Commonwealth visits to the Cameron Highlands in the colonial era. And indeed, perhaps in the past, it was used for exactly that function. Built in an era without air conditioning and when heating was in limited supply, the buildings and rooms were designed such that no matter the conditions, the interior would always be the right temperature. And the view, especially from the suite, was absolutely stunning.
It's nice, but I think it's just a little bit too big for me. Might try something smaller.
Perhaps the studio then was more suitable. This room featured a very large bathroom with a similarly sized walk-in wardrobe, a living room much bigger than a couple would ever need, and a balcony that provides the signature fresh air of the Cameron Highlands.
This is more like it. With the smell of the pine trees, the sounds of the birds chirping, and the utterly beautiful view of the mountains. This is the perfect place for a honeymoon. It's a shame I'm all alone, really. Or am I?
However, are not the only place where you can keep warm. Just as warm, if not much warmer, is a spa located within the main building, and the indoor swimming pool, well insulated from the outdoor climate.
You think it'd be cold here, but it's actually really warm. They have a heater, and the pool is about room temperature, so it's very nice.
My evening swim was followed by a comfortable night of sleep. In the morning, morning, I awoke and returned to the main building for a cup of English breakfast tea and a breakfast of strawberry rice. I sat upon the balcony, which provided a clear, wide view of the forest surrounding me. This moment provided me with the opportunity to reflect upon my learnings and my experience. Of not only the Cameron Highlands, but also its strong ties to the colonial history of this country. And while that history is very complicated and connected by strings so infinitely tangled up, it has left a legacy that will forever be a part of Malaysia. In this travel show, however, all I can say is that the country that Malaysia has become since its independence is a beautiful one. And the Cameron Highlands, with its unusually cold climate in Southeast Asia, its rich, densely packed forests, its absolutely stunning views, and its wonderfully delicious tea, has easily been one of my favorite destinations to ever visit.